So in 2024, one thing was apparent. Direct-to-consumer golf clubs are here to stay. These brands are creating quality, even premium golf clubs at half the price of what the big brands are charging us. I've tested and hit a lot of clubs from a lot of these brands, and one brand stands out to me as head and shoulders better than the competition, and that's Sub70. And that's why in today's video, I'm so stoked to dive into their brand new 859 Pro driver. So let's get into it. So this 859 driver comes in 3 heads, Standard, Pro, and JD. The JD stands for John Daly. They worked with John Daly to design a head specifically for him and those players that want to hit those low spin, hard cuts. It's 8 degrees, it sits open, it's super low spinning. It'd be fun to hit, but I don't think it'd make for the best test for this video. So I have the 859 Pro, 9 degrees with like a standard stock option, if you will. Project X Denali, no upcharge for this. So this driver was $399. Lots of customization, lots of tech. Let's see how it performs. And yeah, let's see what it's all about. So here we go, straight out of the box. First time hitting a Sub70 driver. First time hitting a Project X Denali shaft. A little bit of a pull, but that felt solid and punchy. Looked a little low spinning, which I ain't gonna be mad about. Sound was good, feel was good. So that was a little off the heel. Pretty solid. I mean, it is really nice looking at that kind of matte black carbon, and then the face really blends from the crown well. It is noticeable seeing a bit of bulge in the face. I think when we dive into it, it might speak to a bit of the forgiveness and ball speed. Oh yeah, that felt awesome. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the specs and the tech in this driver head, because there actually is some patented technology in this, which is quite rare in the DTC space. Most, if not all, direct-to-consumer club brands are kind of just like picking a model. Yes, there's technology and there's advancements in it, but they're not creating new technology. They're selecting pre-existing heads from a manufacturer and they're sending them to you. Whereas Sub70, they're working with club designers, they're creating their own technology. And what they've done with this, it's their art technology. Oh, wow. That was awesome. Wow. That feels hot and really, really solid. And it's really cool to look at. There, I kind of towed that. That felt like it would have really hooked, but it didn't. Nice. So art is an axis of rotation theory. Right now, we're in a big MOI war with all the big brands. All the OEMs are working on stability, MOI on off-center hits. Well, MOI is measured basically based on a free-floating thing. How stable is it on off-center hits? Well, driver head's not free-floating. It's attached to a golf shaft. And that's what Sub70 have discovered in their findings with a club designer, that axis of rotation, that shaft, is going to affect MOI. So they've worked on the weight placement, a variable face thickness, so some face curvature to increase MOI around a stable axis of rotation. And this is patented stuff. Like, they've discovered this, they worked with engineers, and they've patented this technology so that they're the only ones that can create driver heads that have it. They're up and out in front of that one. But still feels hot, still feels solid and hot. Let's hit one good one and then get into the lab and see the numbers that this thing is producing, because on feel and flight alone, it feels, I'm impressed. Andrew, I said leave on a good one. There's a bit of face curvature. It's CNC milled, so there's a bit of texture to this face. All they're trying to do is create a very stable and fast driver on those miss-hit shots, which a lot of us have. It's starting to swing bad. I'm just trying to crank it. And I certainly noticed that out on the range. There was a lot of stability and forgiveness. The flight wasn't ideal, but that could kind of come down to shaft. But then I could also really dial it in. I have 2 degrees of adjustability in the loft to kind of work with launch, spin, face angle. But I also have a bunch of weights that I can change heel toe. It comes set with 6 and 12, so a little more weight in the toe, because this Pro head actually sits 1.5 degrees open, which is great, kind of letting those those fades come, but I can work with the weight to really adjust this thing and really dial it in. Just a lot of tech in a $399 driver. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Now, let's go see the numbers this thing's producing. With the Denali shaft, straight out of the box, nothing changed, no weights changed 9 degrees. It's just really solid. Spin, I fight with spin, and to see nothing over 3,000 RPM on like solid ones, I tend to launch it a little bit higher indoors. So you see the launch a little bit higher. Carries fine, few yards less than probably what I would like, but overall, we're seeing really, really solid numbers. So then it was like, okay, well, what's it doing up against the QI10? Against the QI10, I have that thing pretty stinking dialed. It's got a US TEAMAJ Link white shaft in it. This thing has been really, really fun to use this year. And you see a little bit shorter in the air, but that's only because it's spinning 400 RPM less. Across the board, everything is really solid. Actually a little bit lower, which I kind of like. That was super encouraging to see. This thing is pretty close to what I'm currently gaming. Then I got to thinking, what if I put that Link shaft in the 859? Could we have a real winner here? Unfortunately, we didn't. It was wildly hard to hit. Look at these. These are like the clean. These are 4 shots. I couldn't even. It was terrible. And that's just so interesting because a shaft that works so well for me in that driver head just wasn't working in this driver head whatsoever. We see these numbers are pretty awful. Pretty awful. I mean, it's spinning low. It's still a very low spin head, but it was just so hard to hit it solid. It was a low hook. It was just bleh. But then I got to thinking, well, I used Ventus Black for like 3 to 4 years, and that was a really good shaft for me, but it didn't pair well with QI10. So what if I put Ventus Black into this? What would I create? And I created a pretty stinking good driver. Felt good, it felt fast, and when I compare the numbers, it's pretty similar. Like, it's not far off. A couple yards less in the air, but that's just because it's spinning maybe 100 RPMs more. Little bit lower, like the Ventus Black, it's still gonna be less than putting a Ventus Black in a TaylorMade driver, and I'm getting numbers that are pretty damn close to the exact same driver. The feel was good, the forgiveness was good, the numbers were good. Now it just had me going like, I need to go play with this because I wanna see if this solid feel and numbers can translate to hitting really good golf shots out on the golf course. So I'm gonna go play with it, and we'll check in kind of mid-round after the round and see my final thoughts about this driver.
Gosh, that should be perfect. Oh my gosh.
So there's no better way to test a driver than put it out in a round of golf. So I'm playing a golf course. I play a handful of times a year with my father-in-law, brother-in-law. It's like our Thanksgiving round today. A little bit difficult because the wind's the opposite of typical wind. So I'm not able to see if I'm hitting the same clubs that I would typically hit here. I'm hitting tee shots that are into the wind today. They're usually downwind, but it's feeling really, really solid. Really happy with the flight. I'm not losing it. It's not spinning. It's just a solid feeling driver that I feel like I could play multiple rounds with this and gain confidence with it and hit the shots I need to hit with it, maybe into the wind, tee it low, flight it. It's just a solid driver, and at this price point with this much forgiveness and ball speed, really, really good job, Sub70, this 859 series of drivers. I mean, there's one for everybody out there, and the price point can't be beat. Yeah, can't say enough good things about this driver. Let me know, have you used a Sub70 club? Sound off in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.